Hey guys, so we're here inside the School of Automotive Machinists, otherwise known as SamTech. I'm joined by Jim Manus. He's an instructor here. Jim, thanks so much for having us come in and check out the school. Yeah, I know, through Engine Builder, I've talked to a number of folks here at SamTech over the years about what you guys do and the different classes that are offered, and even some former students who now have their own shops and are making a business out of it. But I've actually never been here in person, so I'm excited to see around, and you're the man to do the tour. So
well, we'll see if we can show you everything, at least as much as we can.
Before we start walking around, just give a little background about yourself and what brought you to SamTech and now being a full-time instructor.
Okay, so I actually been working on engines and racing since about 1980.
Okay.
Early 80s. Carburetor distributor I was good with, drag racing mainly. And I was a firefighter, went to become a firefighter paramedic. When I left that and retired, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I'd heard about the school at Bandimere at an event we had. I worked there also looked at it for my son. So he was interested in coming, and the more I talked to the admissions guy, I wanted to come.
Yeah.
So made arrangements, came down, and then I started taking EFI, and from there, everything just worked, and I went full-time here in 2020.
Yeah, excellent.
So.
Very good. Well, I'll let you lead the way here.
All right.
We'll show the folks kind of the different areas and...
Perfect. So this is our lobby where you're going to walk in at. We're going to come up the stairs first. When you start at SamTech, you're going to start, we have cylinder block, cylinder head. We also have EFI calibration and CNC machining. With block and cylinder head, you can also combine those and take your general ed classes and actually get an associate's. Our block and our cylinder head classes, we're going to start with orientation. And that's going to be down here. Our class starts next week, so we don't have anybody in here right now. But you're going to come into this classroom for the first 22 days you're here. In here, you're going to, for block, you're going to start going over block math, how to figure out cubic inches, how to figure out compressions, all of the general block math stuff. Yeah. With that, you're going to start, as you see on the tables, the group that's here in the mornings is starting to learn measuring tools. So you're going to go over micrometers, dial bore gauges, dial calipers, dial indicators, everything you need to learn to measure out an engine to do the right machining.
All the important stuff.
All the important stuff.
Yeah.
So you're in here, and then you learn that, and then you just go down to the shop, and they'll grab blocks and just start measuring. And they measure till they're tired of measuring. But that's about the only way, repetition's the only way to get good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as I said, also cylinder head, you're going to start in here. Cylinder head classes for us happen in the afternoon. When you come in here, you now are going to go over the math for cylinder heads and start going through how to calculate what you want your valve spring set at, just some of the basic math. Now you're going to start into the measuring for that. You're going to start learning some of the machines for cylinder heads. Cylinder head's a little different than our block. Our block, you start in here, then you go to theory for about 4 months, and then 4 months of shop. Our cylinder heads, you come in here for 22 days, then you go into our big classroom is what we call it. And the first half of the class is theory, the second half is hands-on.
Okay. And now you mentioned the block side of things and then the cylinder head side of things. Do those two combine, or is it a choice to take
You can take either one or the other. We do strongly recommend you take block. While you can do cylinder head by itself, you need a pretty good background in engines to be able to make that jump.
Sure. Okay.
So normally block will get you there. They are separate, but we strongly encourage block.
Yep. Very good.
All right. So from here, we're going to go into the big classroom. They are teaching right now. So as we come in here right now, this is our cylinder. They're teaching cylinder head since we are here in the afternoon. In here right now, they're going over guides. This is one of the sections they're going to go over. So they'll spend till, they started at 1:30 this afternoon. They're going to spend till about 3 when we go on break.
Yeah.
So an hour and a half, and the topic today is guides.
Okay. Now, so we're in the classroom. You got a decent amount of folks in this particular class. What's a typical class size?
Typical class size, ranges in this classroom here about 20 to 30.
Okay.
And way it works is like a wagon wheel. So they're on guides right now. As they come in, if a class just left orientation and comes in and started on guides, they're going to go all the way through all the subjects. And when they get back to guides, they go out.
Yeah.
Same thing with block. If they come in on pistons, when they come back to pistons, they go down to the shop and it just constantly revolves.
Gotcha.
So we don't have the normal spring, summer, or fall start. We have usually about 10 starts a year. And by doing that, we can get small groups in orientation where we need small groups, have bigger groups for theory, and manage that pretty well.
Yeah, very cool.
So next classroom we're going to go into is the CNC classroom.
Okay.
They've got to start next week, so it's just the instructor in here. So this is Jonathan Waite, our CNC instructor. And what we have in here, the students will start in here, I think it's right about 8 months. And what they do is they come in here and they start learning basic coordinate geometry. That's how a CNC is going to work. Then they work through learning G-code, all the language that the CNC machines want.
Okay.
They start placing coordinates, then they start into Mastercam. And that's a CAD-CAM software that they can help design things and then run them on the machines.
Right.
And they'll get into Mastercam and they'll start working through that and at different stages as they're learning it. Then they'll go down to the lab, put those skills to use, put a hands on, come back up here, learn more, and jump back and forth.
Gotcha.
So
Very
this
cool.
class is different than the block and the cylinder head we've talked about, as you start day one in here and you finish in here. When I say in here, I mean between the classroom and the lab.
Right.
You don't have an orientation or, move classrooms. This is your classroom.
Okay.
It's also the most air conditioned in the building. So when we have nice hot summers, everybody wants to be in CNC.
There you go. Enough reason as any, right?
Exactly.
Cool.
So we're going to sneak out the back door here. So as we come into here, now we're starting to get into, this is going to be part of our cylinder head lab. Cylinder head lab actually spreads out through most of the shop just because there's so many different aspects they can work with. So Mike's getting ready to graduate. He's already finished all of his theory requirements, and now he's just working on finishing off his projects. We call it the star board. So it's got a list of all the different sections and what they need to finish.
Okay.
And as the students get them, they get a star. So he's finishing off those stars before he turns around to graduate.
Gotcha.
He's already passed all the theory stuff. But
Now,
the students are going to come in here. This side's the machining side. Our assembly, disassembly is in the next room.
Okay.
So in here, they're going to disassemble. We have a burette, so they're going to CC heads, valve spring tester. All that happens in here.
Yeah.
So
Very
that
good.
during the day, you'll see students, especially in the afternoon, they're running between up here, downstairs. They're pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Now, Jim, you mentioned the star system there. When people complete certain things, they gotta kind of check off the list. What's kind of I understand people can finish ahead of time, ahead of schedule. What's the longest someone might take, and then what's kind of the average?
The actual class is right at 9 months long.
Okay.
It's set up, you're going to finish pretty close to that 9 months. We do have students that are go-getters that want to get everything done. So what they'll do is they may meet the minimum requirements and then decide they want to go back and perfect even higher.
Yeah.
So the minimum requirements are even set pretty high, but they want that perfection.
Yeah.
So it'll take usually at least 7 months to get it, and most of them, some take 9 months to finish it, some will finish it in 7, and then enhance on what they've already learned.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
And that's
good.
just individual dependent.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. So this shop area is combined between block and cylinder head. Morning will be our block guys, afternoon will be our cylinder head.
Okay.
So you're going to see balancing machines, cylinder hones,
Yep.
where our block people are going to do. We're going to have lathe and mill, which are taught in our cylinder head. We'll go back further that way here in a minute. In here, this is what we call our student assembly room. So one of the things our students can do while they're a student here is we allow them to do one personal build.
Okay.
So with this, all of the students they're buying their own parts, they're designing their own engines, and they're starting to put them together.
Yeah.
But this one is one of our students. It's a 6-liter LS. We have 350 Chevys. We have a Ford in the back. Kind of a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. And do they get to buy parts at a discount?
So they buy them from us. Anybody we get a discount from, we then pass that directly onto them, and they actually buy the parts directly from those people.
Yeah, that's
We
awesome.
don't mark them up. We actually lose money in doing it because they're not even paying me to do the parts ordering. I do all the parts ordering. They're not paying the ladies who have to do all the bills, all that.
Yeah.
So, but they get parts at what we pay for parts.
Yeah.
And then the other thing in here is we have the other 2 engines here. In the block class, towards the end of class, they're going to go through short block, which they go through complete teardown, inspection, and then start building it all back up. So they've learned how to machine it. Now they're learning the last steps, how to put it all back together once they finish.
Yeah.
And then behind you, the soft cylinder head's also in here because we have our flow benches in here.
Yep.
So you'll see students here this afternoon. They'll be running into the next room over is our porting room, and they'll do a little bit of hand port, come in, test, and run back and forth, back and forth.
Yep. Yep. Seeing what difference and all that makes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We go through door closers quite a bit. So this is our porting room. This is Tommy DeToto, who's actually our orientation instructor.
Hello.
So as I said earlier, he doesn't have a class this afternoon, so he's working on fine-tuning some of his stuff, see if he can find anything new and great.
Yeah.
So
Very
students
cool.
will come into here. They are part of the cylinder head class. They do get a toolkit with grinder, some burrs, the basic things they're going to need to port a cylinder head.
Yeah.
So they're going to get those, and then from there, it's trial and error, right?
Yeah.
We get a bunch of practice cylinder heads from core depositors, other shops around. They know we go through blocks and cylinder heads like mad, so they'll bring them in. Students will grab one, flow it, and then see what they can do to improve it.
Yeah. Awesome. That's very cool.
As we continue on, you're going to see we have old CK10 machines.
Yeah.
So along, right behind it's a brand new Rottler. The reason we do this is, one, there's still a lot of CK10s in shops.
Absolutely.
And our theory is if a student can learn the feel, the noises, the vibrations that a CK10 has, when they move on to a computer-controlled machine, and it makes a noise, they're going to know what's going on.
Right.
So that all of our students start with the old manuals.
Okay.
Once they learn and master those, then we'll go into our Rottler boring bars or our other machines, but they have to know how to do it manually first.
Yeah, no, that's smart because, like you said, a lot of shops are still using both and got the old and the new. So
you got the old and the new. So they learn on the old, and they learn that the actual machining. It's not pushing buttons. It's what's that machine doing.
Yeah.
And then they can move over to the more modern machines down the line.
Sounds good.
So this here's the back of the shop. Again, our manual machines. We have practice blocks for the students over here. Like I said, we go through a ton of them. We take them down where they'll never run again because we machine them so much.
Yeah.
We don't want students to bring their blocks in to learn. We want them to learn on practice blocks because it's not if they're going to make a mistake, it's a matter of when.
Sure.
So this way, if they damage it, it's not out of their pocket. It's just a spare block.
Yep.
Some of the other things they still learn is how to press fit a piston. Not that you're going to see that in a race application, but some of these guys may go to a restoration shop where they want that engine back and they need to know how to press piston pins out and how to heat them up and get them back in.
Yeah.
So
nice.
We do have our dyno cell, our proving ground, or our lie detector.
Yeah.
This here is actually one of the student builds from the room we were in there earlier.
Okay.
As far as I know, I believe they're getting close. They should be testing this. I'm not 100% sure of when.
Yeah.
But we'll bring those in and see.
Yes, you guys got a super flow in here. Yeah.
Yep, got an old super flow, and
Now, do the students get to actually operate the dyno
They do.
and learn on
so
the dyno?
in block, they actually learn how to stab a distributor. I mean, some things that we forget about when we go to coil packs, but they'll learn how to stab a distributor, but they also will use one, we call it our mule engine. We'll put our mule engine on and they'll make a pull themselves and see what they do.
Yeah, yeah.
When we're usually breaking in, normally it's one of the instructors. Once we know we don't want a student to make a mistake, especially with the money they just put into it.
Yep.
Once we're confident it's good, then we'll let them make a couple pulls and see if they can get a number higher than what the instructor got.
Yeah, nice. A little friendly competition, right?
Competition's great. So in here, this is our CNC lab. We have a 3-axis Takumi and a 5-axis Haas. This is, again, our CNC. So our students are either upstairs or down in here running either a 3-axis. Normally we'll do cylinder heads, more complex work in our 5-axis.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm sure looks like he's got a cylinder head he's working on. I'm not 100% sure if that's a student's. What they'll do is they'll hand port them. They'll come in, digitize when they get the port they want with our ferro arm, and then draw the program up and move on.
Yeah.
CNC is another one. We have students that come just take CNC. A lot of those go to work in the oil gas industry. We've had students go to Blue Origin and SpaceX, but we also have students that come here for block and cylinder head that want to learn how to do the CNC.
Yeah.
So CNC is an add-on, a certificate program. So it can be done individually, or you can take all the classes here.
Right. Okay.
All right. So out here, we call this our race shop. It's got a couple different things. Under the car cover is the school's Copa. We run as the 2015 Copa Camaro for NHRA Stock Eliminator. With that, the students are building the engine on it. Right now, our transmission's out of it. We took our converter to let one of our teammates try it in theirs. So actually starting tomorrow, we're putting this back together, getting ready to go to the Fall Nationals in Dallas here in a couple weeks.
Okay, very good.
With that, our students are the ones, I know how to pull the transmission. It's them in here. They're the ones turning the wrenches, everything else. We get it set together, and then we take it out and see how we do.
Yeah, very cool.
This car here is a CTSV that just came back in. The students and the instructors built this engine. It's the owner of this is planning on trying to run the Texas Mile. He wants to do 200 mile.
Wow.
So he's made a couple attempts, had some issues. So now instead of just building the engine, our EFI calibration class is also tuning it.
Okay. That's awesome.
One of the things we have for our EFI class is the run stand. Holly reached out and helped us with this. And this is part of the final test for EFI, is they'll turn around, take a blank Holly tune.
Yeah.
We'll give them the components of what the engine is, and they will build the base file tune, come out, every student will plug it in, hit the start button, see if it starts. And if it doesn't, start working through the process of what they need to change to get it to work.
Yeah.
And then this, as I said, was one of our teammates' cars. Students and instructors do the engine on this. The owner of the car hauls it around, does everything else. But he was having an issue, wasn't sure what it was. So we tried converters, and we brought it in and chassis dynoed it with ours to compare if they're close. And we just put his old one back in there, getting ready to dyno that too.
Yeah, very cool.
Our EFI class is probably in the most non-luxurious part of this campus. It's actually an old house across the street that we bought.
Okay.
We gutted the inside and turned it into a classroom.
Nice. Kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kill Devil Diesel. They're on the Gravedigger compound.
Okay.
And they actually use Dennis Anderson's old house as their offices.
As their office?
Yeah. It's got a similar vibe to that.
So this is our EFI calibration classroom. Darren Smithers is the instructor, and Chris is our co-instructor with them. In here, this is where they're going to learn the theory behind it. Though right now, looks like they're working on a tune, I believe, for the engine that's on the dyno. They're working the startup build tune. So they're going to go through, build that tune, and then they'll be over there to tune it while it's on the dyno.
Yeah. Very cool.
So it's just tables and some TVs and normal classroom.
Yeah.
It's just where it's at. It's a little blends into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that is our school.
Awesome.
You've just seen all of it except for the parking lots.
Yeah. So Jim, I guess I got a couple of questions. And I don't know if you'll be able to answer all of them, or if, obviously we want to talk to Brian a little bit.
Yep.
Who helps? Obviously, on the student shirts, you guys got a lot of partners in the industry helping out. Is all the stuff that the school gets to work on and test with? Is that donated stuff, or is that stuff the schools had to pay for over the years?
Both.
Okay.
So that's a mixture. We get some donations from it. Some of it we get reduced cost. Some of it's items that we have seen and heard, this one's doing good. So we want to find out for ourselves. So some of those are unsolicited. We go Summit or wherever and buy it and see what we got.
Gotcha. All right, guys, so we're here with Brian Massingill. Brian has been here for a long time, and you guys, the history of this place just as good as anybody, I understand.
I do. My parents founded the school in 1985. I was born in 1984. It's about a 5-year process to get accredited by the Department of Ed and to find the companies that are going to make sure that you're not some fly-by-night.
Yeah.
So the school came around just after I was born.
Very cool.
As I said, it was founded by my parents, Judd and Linda Massingill. It is very much a family-owned business that we take a lot of pride in, and we supply the performance aftermarket with some great engine builders, machinists, EFI calibrators, and kind of all around.
Yeah,
fill a lot of needs that are in the performance aftermarket.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that they founded it in '85.
Yes.
Now give us like a walkthrough of the different classes that maybe used to even be taught, and now what currently you guys offer.
So we started with block and head machining. Those were our first 2 classes. Those are 9 months apiece. In 2003, we had our CNC program. There were a lot of the higher end shops, NASCAR teams, things like that. We're adding CNC machines and equipment, and so we saw the need for that. And the emerging technology that really goes so far beyond just the automotive space. We have graduates that have gone to work for Blue Origin, SpaceX. Our own program works with NASA, building some parts for the Orion space shuttle, mock-ups. Now, the things that we do will never go into space, but they are what the astronauts are training with.
Yeah.
Then in about 2012, we added our EFI program. That was something that we really looked at the markets and saw, okay, well, EFI is here to stay. NASCAR was going that way, NHRA is going that way. It's not that we don't still teach carburetors and things like that. It's that we needed to explain to people why EFI was so important and how to utilize it. We've partnered with Holley and HP Tuners and things like that, and some other companies to get the right certifications from Holley. You come out of our program Holley certified.
Yeah.
HP Tuners doesn't really have a certification program, but we work hand in hand with them on a lot of their projects. And then we also offer an associate degree. The way that works is you take block machining, you take cylinder head machining, and then you take your traditional 5 college courses. You can opt out of a couple if you have some college credits along the way, but so those are the 5 programs that we offer.
Yeah, very cool. So, Brian, you were telling us earlier when we first arrived that you guys are up for, and I'm gonna mess up the exact name, but School of Excellence type of an award.
Yes. So our accreditation company, the ACCSC, every year they award different schools. We are not up for the award every year. We are up for it every 5 to 6 years. And the last 3 times we've been up, we have been awarded School of Excellence. What that means is that we are getting our students the jobs that we say we're getting, that the students are completing their courses, that they are paying back their loans, and that they're employed and employable.
Yeah. And maybe just to dive deeper to explain, why you guys are only up for that award every 5 or 6 years is because the school has been doing such a great job. You're not getting babysat every year.
We're not. There's a lot of schools out there that aren't doing everything above board. That are maybe pushing some students through. Students aren't paying back their loans. Students aren't getting jobs in the industries or the fields that they're that they're supposed to be in. If you go to a computer engineering school or something like that, you come out and start working at McDonald's. That's not really what they want to see. So we're only up for it every 5 years because of how diligent we are in both our record keeping and all that kind of stuff. So it's an award, and that really it comes down to the personnel up front, everyone that works on the administrative side, making sure that the grades are turned in, that everyone's passing, that everyone's paying their bills, and everyone is getting jobs. So that's getting the jobs. That falls to my sister's side of things. She helps the students with resumes, job placement, and we're really very fortunate to have made such a great name for ourselves that top teams, whether it's the NASCAR, NHRA, really any type of performance motorsports, anyone who's looking knows to look at Samtech. And so we actually have more job openings than we have graduates. So we know that there's a lot out there to fill, and hopefully we're able to do that for everybody.
And Brian, speaking of that, I don't know if you got off the top of your head, numbers of graduates you guys have had over 4 decades, or
so since it's a few thousand. It's not quite 3,000. It's in the 2000s range. So we are at our capacity at 210 students in graduates that we're putting out now. We have a really high retention rate, meaning that if you come and take one program, you're about 90% likely to take a second, and you're about 80% likely to take a third. So our students come here and they end up well-rounded because they're taking kind of everything. They're not just focused on, I just want to be a block machinist. They know that I need to understand how cylinder heads work. I need to understand how to port. I need to understand how to mill, lathe, everything like that. I need to know how to use all this equipment because they don't know what shop they're going to end up at, right? So so a great year for us is about 210 students. It really keeps the classes size small. We've got about a 12 to 1 student to teacher ratio. And so over the course of everything in those about 40 years that you said, it's been about 2,400 students that come through our doors.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know even in my experience talking with shop owners and folks who are in the industry, a number of folks have come through here and now run their own business or work for shops. Maybe elaborate on where folks go after they come through Samtech.
At any given point, we have somebody on a NASCAR team, and by somebody I mean a few dozen, whether that's with Roush or Hendrick or Yates or whoever it might be. We've got graduates on teams that are winning championships there. We have graduates on teams that are winning championships in the NHRA. At the sportsman level, at the professional level, and in pro stock, in the nitro categories, it doesn't matter. There, we have somebody on the teams there. We've got people who are racers themselves who really came here to make sure that they knew what they were doing when they were going to the track. So I know that y'all have been in Houston for a few days, and so y'all have gone to a couple of places that not only hire our graduates, but that were founded by our graduates. So LME, and H Squared, things like that that are out there that are more local, more accessible than maybe going to, say, a Rick Hendrick and saying, hey, I need an engine built. Like I said, with a CNC, you kind of get away from the automotive side of things. There's a lot of oil and gas jobs out there that pay really, really well. There's a lot of more aerospace the CNC opens the door for aerospace jobs. So we have a graduate over at Blue Origin. We've got one at SpaceX. We've had graduates at Boeing. We've kind of had them everywhere in that space as well.
Excellent.
So it's not just the automotive side. With CNC, again, you can go to the medical field and start building prosthetics and things like that.
Definitely.
It's a real well-rounded education you can get here. And so if you ever, for whatever reason, if you ever get tired of cars, there's something to fall back on by going into outer space.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Brian, you were just mentioning that you guys have graduated, somewhere around 2,500 to 3,000 students from here in the time that the school's been open. And I also understand that you guys have a pretty big mission to get veterans into this industry and through the school, and you guys have had a lot of veterans come through.
We have. We're currently about 30% veteran. Our entrance exam, we're not open enrollment. Our entrance exam is actually based on the Bennett Mechanical Aptitude Test that the military the Army uses to figure out who goes into the motor pool.
Okay.
In addition to that, we are eligible to train GI persons using the GI Bill. Excuse me. We are eligible to train veterans under the GI Bill, and so there's a lot of employers love hiring the veterans. Also, they know that they're coming from somewhere that's regimented, and you really see a little bit more mature candidate when you're hiring a veteran. So
sure.
we are very appreciative of all that they've given, and we really we see that how they interact with their other students and kind of help guide some of the younger students around also. So we are very proud to say that for the last 12 years we've been awarded military friendly school, meaning that we not only accept veterans, but that we're graduating such a high percentage of veterans, and they are able to get jobs.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Not only serving the country, but now serving our engine industry, right?
That's it.
Very good. Brian, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming down.
Really cool to see through here. The tour with Jim was awesome, and it's cool to see what you guys have built up over nearly 40 years, and I'm sure there's plenty more to come.
There absolutely is. There sure is.
Excited to see what lies ahead.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Jim. Well, that concludes kind of a walkthrough of what you guys got here at the School of Automotive Machinists, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Anytime.
Like I said, I've had plenty of conversations with folks over the years, and I've never gotten to come in and see what all you guys actually do here in person. So it was neat to see what you guys are doing to teach another generation of folks to get involved in this industry and either start their own shop or go work somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So very, very cool. So guys, we appreciate you watching this tour of Samtech. Make sure you guys are checking out everything that they do here, all the classes that are offered. Maybe it's something that you guys have an interest in getting involved in. So please make sure you guys are checking that out. And as always, make sure you're checking out enginebuildermag.com for more great engine content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.